Computer. See if that gets going. Okay, guys, it's 7:32, so I'm just going to get started now, just to respect everybody's time. My name is Andrea Laplante. I'm a National Marketing Director with the Juice Plus Company. I'm also a certified health coach with the Dr. Sears Wellness Institute, and I'm really excited to introduce my dear friend and colleague, Mila from Florida. This is so exciting that we can partner up and just turn on our computers and see each other and share stories like this. And I've really been wanting to do this call for a long time because I do think type 1 diabetes is an autoimmune that's really misunderstood. And I just think sharing education and spreading tools and listening to other people's journeys is so important if we can just really pull together and understand that we can help each other out in that way. So first, I just want to share with you a little bit about what diabetes is. I took some notes today, and I just want to go over that briefly. Diabetes is a disorder of metabolism, the way our bodies use digested food for growth and energy. Most of the food we eat is broken down into glucose, the form of sugar in the blood. Glucose is the main source of fuel for the body. But after digestion, glucose passes into the bloodstream where it's used by the cells for growth and energy. For glucose to get into cells, insulin must be present. Insulin is a hormone produced by the pancreas, a large gland behind the stomach. When we eat, the pancreas automatically produces the right amount of insulin to move glucose from blood into our cells. In people with diabetes, however, the pancreas either produces little or no insulin, or the cells do not respond appropriately to the insulin that's produced. Glucose builds up in the blood, overflows into the urine, and passes out the body that way, actually. And thus, the body loses its main source of fuel, even though the blood contains large amounts of glucose. So there are 3 types of diabetes. There's type 1, type 2, and gestational. And we're really going to focus on type 1 today, as it's an autoimmune, and it's when the body actually attacks itself. So I'm going to ask Megan some questions, but can you all see the screen here? Can you see this here? When I shared this picture of Megan, so you can see her, that she's a mom of 3, a wife. She has 3 beautiful children. She loves life. She's a Juice Plus colleague, and she's also a diabetes prevention coach. But I'm going to first ask her to share a little bit about her background, and then I'm going to get into some of these questions. So Megan, tell us a little bit about yourself first.
Great. Hey, thank you so much, Andrea. I am so honored to be here. I love that we're partnering from Boston and Florida and have so much education to share. I am a type 1 diabetic, diagnosed at 17. I'm a Juice Plus sales coordinator. I have a huge passion to help people, and Juice Plus has helped me be the vehicle to help people in the prevention of type 2. Now, I have type 1, which is completely different than type 2, but I think all of us know someone with one of the two, either type 1 or type 2, or a lot of us have probably had gestational, or we know someone with it. So I can't wait to share more of my story.
Great. So my first question to you is, when were you first diagnosed with type 1 diabetes, and what did that look like?
Okay. It was very unexpected, Andrea, as it is for most people with type 1. It's something that hits you so quickly. I was 17. I was dancing and traveling and having the time of my life. And instead of enjoying what I was doing, I started to get really depressed. And I was not a depressed person. So that was the first sign for me, although I thought maybe I was just losing my mind. I was crying. I was urinating a lot, which is one of the main symptoms of diabetes, is excessive thirst and urination. And you start to lose weight because you're flushing, your body's trying to flush out all of that sugar. So actually, one of my best friends called my dad and said, "You need to come get Meg. Something's wrong with her. She's not the same. She won't even go on stage to dance anymore." I was refusing to perform. And so my dad, who's a cardiopulmonologist, flew out to Chicago and picked me up and brought me home and put me right in the hospital. And after a bunch of different tests, they did a test called the A1C, which some of you might be familiar with. And that's how they determined that I had type 1 diabetes at that point.
Okay. So what were your symptoms at the time? Can you just run through them quickly?
Yep. Specifically, the frequent urination, but growing up in Florida and having a cardiologist, my dad, we had tons of fresh orange juice in the fridge. So I was quenching my thirst with fresh squeezed orange juice, which was just making my blood sugar higher. I was urinating a lot. I had lost, a couple pounds. I was depressed. I was crying. I was not feeling like I wanted to get out of bed in the morning. And I had never felt like that in my entire life before. It was just all of a sudden, I couldn't function. So that's, yeah.
So sorry to hear that. So the next question is, type 1 diabetes is often misunderstood as it's an autoimmune disorder that you have to manage for a lifetime. Can you shed some light on what it means to manage your diabetes?
Well, I think one of the best things I ever read is managing diabetes is like breakdancing on a balance beam, because it is almost impossible. And I think you have a slide actually that shows all the things that affect your blood sugar. Type 1 and type 2 are very different in the fact that type 2 is preventable. And what affects my blood sugar? Everything. Like, you can put everything under there. So just to touch on type 1 and type 2, type 1 is lifetime disorder. We do not have a cure for that. But the thing I love about type 2 is that I can help people prevent it and learn healthy eating habits in order to prevent the onset of it. I didn't have a choice. There's nothing that I or my parents could have done to avoid having to live with type 1 diabetes. It's not my fault. I did not drink too much Coke. I did not eat too many donuts. I didn't not exercise. My dad's a cardiopulmonologist. We ate extremely healthy growing up. I was a dancer and a cheerleader. And at the time of diagnosis, I was dancing 8 hours a day. So, looking back, there's really nothing that I could have done to prevent it. But living with it, managing it, the people that are close to me see it every single day. It is every little stress that you can imagine, from what time do you wake up in the morning, to when did you work out, to running after my kids, when I'm stressing about bills. I mean, some days I have nothing I can blame my high blood sugar on, but maybe I was too stressed out that day. Working out changes your blood sugar. Not working out changes your blood sugar. Every single thing you do, it's not just the food that you put into your body. So I think that's the most important thing for people to understand, is that when you have to manage diabetes, you have to take every single aspect of your life into account, and not just food consumption. I mean, that's something that makes a huge difference between success and not being successful, I think, with diabetes, but everything else. I mean, there are more than 3 million people that get diagnosed with type 2 per year. And the sad thing to me is that that's really preventable. And so I feel like my mission right now is to help those people prevent it, and then to also help the type 1s to really focus on how they can manage their diabetes.
So that's actually a segue into my next question here. Well, actually, I have one before that. You shared with me that you've been through some touchy situations and how it's been scary at sometimes. Can you touch on that a little bit?
Yes, definitely. This is the hardest part of my diabetes, is to, I guess it's a blessing and a curse, because the blessing is that I'm blessed with 3 kids. The curse was that everything I went through to have those 3 kids, and there they are. Initially, the doctors told me I was never going to have kids. I had diabetes since I was 17, but I had definitely gone through a time when I was not in control. After I was diagnosed, I was rebelling, as most 18-year-olds do at that time. So luckily, I did have 3 kids, and they're good. And I worked super hard during those pregnancies. If you can see in the picture, they're healthy. I'm healthy. I kept my blood sugar at a normal range during those pregnancies, but something went really wrong with my third pregnancy. And that's, you see Isabella, she's on the left picture in the middle and all the way to the right. So I went into the hospital at 31 weeks and I never came out. I was only 31 weeks pregnant. I was out of it for days. Like I was there, but I wasn't. People would come in and out. I could hear them talking. I was in and out of consciousness. I was in diabetic ketoacidosis, and the doctors weren't aware that I was. They thought I was just there for preeclampsia, which is very serious in itself. But on top of that, I was in ketoacidosis. Thanks to my father who came in and intervened, they moved me to the ICU. And once I began to stabilize, they delivered Isabella Cara Mila, who was not even 32 weeks. And because I had been through so much through that pregnancy and through the diabetic ketoacidosis, meaning I was not receiving insulin. They were not giving me insulin in the hospital. All I could do was pray because we really didn't know what was going to happen to Bella. We didn't know if how she was going to be born, how many disabilities she would have, what we were going to be dealt. And so that was probably the hardest challenge in my life. She is now practically perfect in every way. She has no delays. In fact, the other day, I yelled up to her, "Bella, what are you doing up there?" And she said, "Mom, I'm just enjoying life." But she is a miracle. And the downside of that is after giving birth to this miracle, I was so depleted. Everything was depleted in my body. I was so skinny and scared and sick. So that was challenging.
That's really scary. And, just as a health coach, talking to people on a regular basis about blood sugar stabilizing and knowing that the average person needs to make sure their blood sugar is stabilized, because every time we spike our blood sugar, it adds another nick into the arteries in our bloodstream. And over time, those little nicks against our bloodstream arteries can actually build up and cause poor blood flow and other, heavier things like strokes and heart attacks. So you don't think about it when you're just talking about blood sugar and saying, it's important to keep your blood sugar stable, but it really does affect the arteries and your blood flow. So the next question would be for you, because we're talking about just stabilizing blood sugar in general for the average person. When were you first introduced to Juice Plus? And how did you come to learn and see this nutrition as a tool to help you with your diabetes and to help with your controlling your blood sugar?
Great question, because it's one of my my favorite stories. But I wanted to just touch really quickly on the arteries. After I gave birth to Noah, pre-Juice Plus, he's the oldest one hanging. If you can see on the bar, he's the longest one. So that's Noah. I actually developed something called diabetic retinopathy in my eyes. And it was the inflammation of the blood vessels in the eyes, and which could potentially lead to blindness. And that's how a lot of people who are diabetic develop blindness, because my blood sugars were up and down prior to my pregnancy. Now, I've been on Juice Plus for almost 5 years, and I went to the doctor last week, and I was expecting him to say, because I'm almost 40, I'm expecting him to say, "You need surgery again. We're going to have to do laser surgery on your eyes, Meg," and I was so prepared for it. I was like, okay, we're going to do this. I'll get a babysitter. We'll figure it out. And I went in, and he was shocked in himself, saying, "I can't believe your eyes are perfect." And I said, "Well, I don't know. My vision's a little," he took my vision was perfect. He gave me about 15 different drops, and he kept, taking pictures, because they take pictures of the back of your eyes, and there was no inflammation. And I was probably shocked for the rest of the day, because a lot of diabetics tend to expect for these things to happen. Even if you're you're well controlled, there are times, as you know, Andrea, health coaching, that your blood sugars go up and down, right? Regardless of if you're diabetic or not. So I just wanted to share that tidbit about the arteries, because I love that you brought that up. A lot of people don't know about that. And the Juice Plus introduction, oh my gosh, this is another time when my faith was so strong, because my best friend Jen Harrison, who was Kim Vanderheiden's neighbor, came to visit, And I was still recovering from Bella. I was, like I said, I was sick. I was so skinny. My husband was giving me suppositories. I mean, I was a mess. And, but I was trying to eat healthy and get strong and do all this stuff. And Jen said, Meg, you got to take Juice Plus. And I said, Jen, I'm not going to take Juice Plus. I don't even drink juice. Why would I take Juice Plus? And she's like, no, you don't understand. There's no sugar in it. You can take it without having to worry about that. And so the kids and I went on it, and automatically, so much transitioned in my life. And diabetes is an autoimmune disease. As you said, we have compromised immune systems. So imagine how often I was catching the viruses from my kids. I had Noah was in kindergarten, Alex was in pre-K, Bella was on a heart monitor, and I was driving her all over town. And I was sick. And I said to my mom, I am so sick and tired of being sick and tired. But I had no idea the potential my body had to recover. And, afterwards, after starting to consume Juice Plus, I started to gain energy. My body was able to tell itself what it was meant to do, to heal itself when I caught a cold. And a lot of times, those of you who are listening who know a diabetic or are diabetic know that when you get sick, it's not just, oh, you have, what they say, like the cold, the man cold, you're in bed, but you're not really that sick. You are freaking sick, Andrea. You are on your bed. You are calling in anyone from the neighborhood to help you. And I would be out for days. So with my Juice Plus journey, I'm able to treat my body, and my body's able to heal itself. And I love that it heals itself, and I'm able to live and replenish every time I maybe could catch something. I'm really fighting it. I can feel my body fight it.
That's fantastic. That brings me to the next question, which is, can you share your routine, your Juice Plus routine, and how do you use Juice Plus and Complete to help manage the diabetes, and what are the benefits that you have seen since adding it to your diet? Because, obviously you said most people are at that stage, you have so much going on, and to look at adding something onto your plate to add to your diet, I'm sure it must be scary. And then learning that there's no sugar in the capsules must have been something that you were excited about. So what does your routine look like in terms of you're adding the capsules in the low glycemic complete shake? So tell us a little bit about what your schedule looks like with that.
Okay. Well, first of all, those of you all who can see the picture, you see the difference in my hair. When I have Bella there, I'm holding her, and she's like a couple days old. And then there's Bella and I all the way to the right, and you see my hair, and I never could grow my hair. My entire life, I was a cheerleader, so I had like a short bob, and I was a dancer, but I could not grow my hair. And okay, so, just a very, one of the things I loved was my hair, but, on to more serious things.
Hey, that's important.
Yeah, it is. Someday I'm going to really be excited about my thick hair. So, but you know what, for Juice Plus, my regimen is all day long. Everyone says like, oh, I could do that all day long. Yeah. Well, Juice Plus, I feel like I just do it whenever I can. I keep out my capsules, Andrea. Some days I take the kind of the regular 6. Sometimes I take extra if I'm not feeling great. I do the shakes pre or post workout because they don't have a high glycemic index. So after a workout, I can drink a shake and feel energy and know that my blood sugar is not going to spike specifically because what I consume. It's a low glycemic index. I like the complete bars. In fact, it was funny the other day, I'd ordered them last week because I'm starting the shred coming up with a bunch of you guys, and I'm really excited about that. So I'd ordered the bars, and I literally was out on the road the entire day, running, which is really dangerous for a diabetic because you never know when you're going to drop. And sometimes I run out of snacks in my bag because I'm giving the kids snacks, and then I'm eating stuff. And it was one of those days where I was low, and I had gotten low, and I was driving home, and I was really confused, and my box of the bars showed up, and I grabbed like 15, threw them in my purse. I'm like, I'm not going to be on the road anymore and go low. So the bars help me to stabilize without going high, which is huge for a type 1 diabetic, to be able to eat something and know, okay, I'm going to be stable and quote unquote normal for a little while without, going up into the 200s. And sometimes I sneak the chewables, and I don't sneak them because they're high, there's anything wrong with eating them as a diabetic, but because my kids and my husband eat them all, and I love them as a little sweet treat that they're not high in sugar, so I can have them as a treat. So yeah, it's all day long, Andrea.
So what does your shake look like? Are you not putting fruit in it because of the sugars?
Right. Well, I remember when we first got the new shakes, and I remember going back and forth with Kim a little bit, like, well, I don't know, I think my sugar is going high from the shakes. And it actually was because I was putting bananas in it and, higher sugar foods. It was not the shake. So yes, I stick to berries. I put the peanut butter in it, which I love. I'm obsessed with the peanut butter powder that I think Kim introduced me to as well. And I stick to the lower sugar stuff that you know of. The berries are always lower. I'm not going to do mangoes or pineapple or apples or whatever, or bananas. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. Thank you for sharing that. So we know you're an awesome mom of 3 beautiful kids. How has this nutrition helped your family and your kids?
Well, I guess the better question is, how has it not? Because it's really changed every aspect of our lives. Our priorities are completely different. When I started receiving Juice Plus and taking it, I started sharing it with my friends because they noticed something different with me. So I was sharing it, and that's when I became part of the Juice Plus family and the company, and just naturally sharing it with everyone. John, are you chopping something? Is that John chopping something?
I was trying to find out who that was.
I think it's John.
No, I'm on mute. I muted myself.
Okay.
Yeah.
I want some of your prep meals, by the way. Okay, so the best thing though, Andrea, which when I was thinking about this the other day, my kids and I from the very beginning started cuddling for the Juice Plus calls. So I've got little kids, and they like me to lay with them and read them books, and am I still here? That was a different Megan that left. Okay, good. It said Megan left the meeting. I said, no, I'm still here, right? So we cuddle at night, and I call in. Well, the kids want to hear the calls. So unlike a lot of the Netflix shows that I like to watch at night, they can listen to the Juice Plus calls. And they've been learning with me, and they've been processing the education, and they've been applying it to their lives, and spreading the word to their friends. And so that education piece has been huge for us. Our health has all changed in dramatic ways, and just between my husband and I, shopping different, eating different, making different choices. And then specifically Alex, who he's like, I keep talking about Kim, but she's been such an inspiration to me, but Alex is like Kim's son, where both of her sons, who was on all these types of asthma and allergy medications. And when I took him to the doctor, I think the last time we went was about 2 years ago, and the doctor said, well, what are you giving him now? Are you giving him Claritin or Singulair? And I said, no, I'm not giving him anything. I'm giving him Juice Plus. And he said, well, you should be giving him something. I said, but why? He's not sick anymore. Like, why would I give him something? And so that's been a huge blessing to my family. And my kids are part of the mission now. I was there for career day last week, and the kids were part of my presentation. They were part of what I was doing. They're involved in it. So I feel like it's such a good thing for everyone. And they respect me for doing it. They know, okay, mom's doing a call now. And I love that they know I'm doing something to help others.
That's fantastic. I love hearing that. And I think the education piece is so important, just to let people know how and why, and dot the I's and cross the T's of why we're not feeling well. And then when we have this education, how we can make those changes. And that brings me to the next question, which is, you're not only sharing Juice Plus, but you also educate and you help other people with diabetes. So what are some of the strategies that you share as a diabetes prevention coach? And what would you share to someone diagnosed with diabetes, whether it's type 1 or type 2? What are the strategies you use with your own clients?
Well, first of all, I want to interject. I mean, this one's a really tough question because there's so much. I mean, it's a 12-month program, so there's so much information. I actually got a call last week from someone who runs the program that I teach, the diabetes prevention program, and she said, I have a friend and her son's lost 20 pounds and he's super thirsty and he's super sick. And she said, she made an appointment with the doctor tomorrow. And I said, she needs to go in. Take him in right away. Because a lot of people don't understand how scary it is and how life-threatening it really is to be type 1 diabetic. Mm-hmm. Now, with that being said, there are a lot of people who are type 2 who don't even know they are type 2. And to me, that is so scary. We've done a lot of health fairs, and we do health fairs even at homeless shelters. And we have people with a blood sugar of 500, Andrea, that come in there. And they had no idea that they were diabetic. They're just going around thinking it's normal to not feel your feet. And it's normal to be exhausted because I'm homeless. So what is normal and what is healthy? So those are just two bits of, information I wanted to share. But the program is the 12-month program. And the two things that I found the most helpful in this program, I actually got from my Juice Plus training. So the first key is one simple change. So you guys all are, if you're not familiar with this, ask the person that got you on the call tonight, because one simple change changed the lives of every person I've worked with through this program. Because say you're someone the doctor says to you, you're going to get diabetes. So go lose some weight and go exercise and eat right. And I'm going to check on you, come back in a year. And then you leave the doctor going, well, what the heck does that mean? What do I even do? Where do I even start? And so you get on a diet program, or you go to Weight Watchers or whatever. There's a variety of places that could be really successful, but scary. So what about if we take all of that and we say, I'm going to do one thing. I'm going to start today with more water. I'm going to start today when I come home from work, this was like an epiphany I had with my students. When I come home from work, I am not walking straight to the kitchen. I'm going to let my dog out and go outside for a little bit. Because so many of us, we come home, we've been in traffic all evening, we're exhausted, we're stressed, so we go straight to the kitchen. And things like that, those little, one change here and one change there and one change there, it's so much more manageable, I think, for a lot of these people to make those changes. And then once they make that change, they don't want to go back. I had one of my students was drinking at least 6 regular Cokes a day, Coca-Cola. And she said, I just love my Coke. I can't give up my Coke. I can't give up my Coke. And so we talked about that, and she realized that the reason she drank Coke, Andrea, was because her dad loved Coke, and he had passed a couple of years before that. And her connection with him, every time she had a Coke, she was thinking she was, with her dad. She was remembering dad. And I said, we talked about what other things did you do with your dad? Well, dad liked hockey. And, and she started coming up with these other activities she could do herself to remember dad without the Coke. And she stopped. Her simple change was, I'm going to stop drinking Coke, once she came to this epiphany. And she has not had any Coca-Cola since then. So the other one I learned from the Juice Plus training was, if your why doesn't make you cry, find another why. Do you remember that one?
Yes.
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 And so when you are trying to transform your life, when you are trying to go from, hey, you're going to develop diabetes and you could possibly lose your limbs and you might not see, to, I want to live every day to the fullest. I want to live life to the plus. There has to be a reason why, not just because the doctor told you to lose 20 pounds, not just because, your kids are on you because you're not taking care of yourself, or you're not getting great, life insurance, or your insurance is going up because of your health, but because there's something inside your heart, in your soul, that says, I am worth living today. And for me, that was my kids. That was Bella saying, you're not going to die. You're going to keep going, and she's going to come here, and she's going to be okay on this earth, and you guys are going to live a long life together. And it took a lot for me to find that strength, because at that moment in the hospital, I did not know if I was going to make it. And so I go back to that and I say, I did make it, and I choose to live life to the plus. So for my students that I work with, I really try to get in and get into that why, because if it doesn't make you cry, you got to find another one. There's got to be somebody that makes you take care of yourself, some reason, some outlook that, that really changes your life and your passion.
That's amazing. So you must be helping so many people, and I'm so inspired by you and how you help. So you could easily just deal with what you deal with, but now you take it to another level and you help others, which is just so inspiring. And I love this picture of you. Diabetes and Juice Plus looks like this. So explain that a little bit.
Oh, that's so funny. Because like I said, after giving birth to Bella, I couldn't even walk up the stairs, Andrea. I was so skinny and so weak. And so to go from not being able to, walk up a flight of stairs to be able to climb a rope by myself was a huge transformation. So this is one of my favorite pictures, because I really took the time to heal my body from the inside out. And I can climb ropes. My mom said now she never worries about me because she knows that I'm stronger than my kids. And I have two boys who are really rambunctious, and I know I got it into their teen years. I can physically handle all of it, and it's such a good feeling to go from not having faith in yourself and not trusting. I think the biggest thing, Andrea, was not trusting my body. I was so flippin' angry at my body after Bella. I was like, what? How could you betray me like this? I have done so many good things for you. I have taken my insulin like I'm supposed to. I have worked out my entire life. I try to eat healthy, but it wasn't enough. And for me, eating healthy was just not enough. I don't get enough fruits and vegetables regardless of what I do, right? So my body is just not getting the antioxidants to fight the free radicals, to fight the stuff that's going on in my body. So I really feel like that picture is just a great representation of me fighting and climbing to the top.
Well, I am so grateful to you for sharing your story tonight, because I know how vulnerable that was, in taking the time to share all of that with us. And, from speaking as a mom and someone who had a bit of a scare, and sometimes we have wake-up calls, and mine was when my son overdosed on Flintstone vitamins, and, I could have lost him if he had more. Luckily it was only half the bottle, but it was a wake-up call for me and my family. And I vowed that I would share this with everybody I knew and let them decide what they wanted to do with the information. But the education is what really spoke to me. And there's so much education, not only on diabetes, but on everything, every aspect of the human body, and fruits and vegetables will help just with our vitality, whatever it is that our body needs. We just need more quality fruits and vegetables, and we know that we can get that with Juice Plus and Complete. And I'm so grateful to have met you, and I'm so glad that you're doing so well now, and that you're able to be the mom that you want to be. And I think that's really the key, is what do we want out of life? And knowing that you're able to use your kids as your why, but now you're stronger than them, and you'll be able to keep up with them well into the future. And that's really what we want out of life, is we want everyone we love to be as healthy as we are, so that we can live our life to the fullest. So thank you so much for your time tonight. So grateful to have you in my life. And we're going to end the call now. So if anybody has questions specifically, let the person know that invited you on the call, get them to us and we'll answer them for you and get back to you. So hope you all have a great Sunday night. Thanks everybody for joining us.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Meg. Thank you, Andrea.
Thanks, Meg.
Thank you.
Thanks, John.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ladies, great call.
Thanks, Megan.
Bye, babe. I love you.
Thank you.
you.
Have a great night. Awesome job, Megan.
Hey, thank you so much. I'm crying over here.
So powerful. So powerful.
I want to be in your living room and hang out with you. We got to do this more often.
I know. We should just get on Zoom.
Okay. All right. Zoom me this week, okay?
Okay.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. That was incredible. Have a great night. Thank you
You
so
too.
much for your time.
Anytime.
Talk to you soon.
Bye. Bye.